Hello. Well, now I've come down a bit and landed back on Earth after Tommy's release. I've been looking into solitary confinement and prisoners' rights when they are in solitary. You can find these rights very, very easily on government websites on the internet. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, I've also found a website on the net called solitarywatch.com, and there are some amazing facts and figures on that site. What prompted this was Tommy's appearance when he came out of prison. He looked thin. He looked like a deer in the headlights, and that isn't the Tommy Robinson I know. He spoke to a reporter from Sky News, and you can tell he was very, very angry, Tommy, and he has every right to be angry. The court case, well, the retrial, that's what it is. We'll have to take that as and when it comes, and see what happens at the retrial. I don't know, of course, what is going to happen at the retrial. I hope that even if he is found guilty, that he has served 2 months in solitary confinement, and that will be enough, and I hope to God that he will be released and not sent back into prison. Tommy did an interview, you can find it on the internet, with a reporter from Rebel News called Ezra Levant. He's a Canadian, and Ezra has been in London covering Tommy's appeal and release and so on. And Tommy gave Ezra a short interview about the conditions he's been living in the past couple of months in prison. And it's absolutely shocking. Tommy, because he was in solitary confinement, he did not go into the community area to eat. He was his food was delivered to him in his cell. And because Tommy's not stupid, he knew that the Muslim people preparing his food might have tampered with it, so he didn't eat it. So instead of that, he's lived for 2 months on 1 tin of tuna every day, which explains his shocking weight loss. He also explained to Ezra Levant, the journalist, that there was a window in his cell, and because it's been so frightfully hot here in Europe the past couple of months, Tommy could not keep his window in his cell open to get fresh air, because other prisoners were allowed to spit through the window at him, and they also threw human excrement through the window at him, so therefore he had to keep his window shut. I don't understand how this has been allowed to happen in that prison. The guards, who should have visited Tommy every single day, should have seen that there was human excrement in the cell and spit. And I'm sure Tommy said something to them about it, but apparently it just continued. How can that be allowed to happen? Those prison guards who work at that prison should be fired. The people who were supposedly looking after Tommy whilst he was incarcerated. they should be fired. The European Convention on Human Rights, Article 3 of that bill, I think you call it, says that no one shall be subjected to torture or to inhumane or degrading treatment or punishment. Well, it's safe to say that Tommy was subjected to degrading treatment and inhumane treatment whilst he was incarcerated at HMP Onley. That group of prison officers needs to be suspended with immediate effect, in my view, pending a hearing about what the hell just went on, because that is not right. Not in any way, shape or form is that right. Whilst reading through this website called solitarywatch.com, I've been reading that prisoners on the Isle of Wight, if they are in solitary confinement, they have to choose between a shower or exercise at the weekend. So they can't have both. In Leicester Prison, where I was born and raised in Leicester, there is a special secure unit that has its own kitchens so that the prisoners can prepare their own food. Wouldn't that have been a better alternative? Because if anybody tells me that the prison officers didn't know that this was going on, then I would say to them they're blind and stupid. Of course they knew it was going on. Tommy was put into isolation, into solitary confinement at his own wish. And I understand completely he did that, because I think that if he hadn't have done that, he wouldn't be alive today. However, just because you choose to go into solitary confinement does not mean that you don't have rights. You do have rights as a prisoner in solitary confinement. Also on this website, solitarywatch.com, there is a kind of a bullet point thing about people's rights in solitary. And it says that most prisoners in solitary confinement are permitted unlimited outside visits. Well, that wasn't true in Tommy's case, was it? Also, 1/5 of prison suicides in 2005 took place in isolation cells. And I can understand that. If that's the kind of treatment that people are subjected to when they are in solitary confinement, like Tommy Robinson, then I understand that some people just snap and they can't handle it mentally. You would think that I am talking about somebody who had murdered 14 children. But I'm not. I'm talking about a person who has been accused of contempt of court. It is absolutely astounding. It is astounding. Now then, at prisons, apparently, there is something called the Independent Monitoring Board, or IBM. And an IBM is a group of, it gives a figure of 1,800 local volunteers who are attached to 137 prisons. Excuse me, 137 prisons in the UK. Apparently, prisons must notify their IBM, Independent Monitoring Board, of each decision to place a prisoner in solitary confinement within 24 hours. When that's been done, a member of the board of this IBM has a duty to visit the prison within 72 hours. I wonder if that rule was, what do you call it? I wonder if they did that. I'm sure that when Tommy gets back from his holiday and he has a chance to put all of his thoughts into some sort of order, I am absolutely positive that he has a big chance of suing that prison for the treatment that he had to endure whilst he was incarcerated there. I was so happy when he was released, and after hearing the snippets that he's come with before he went on holiday, I again became more and more angry. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's unbelievable treatment of a person who is accused of contempt of court. That he has to be treated like that. And the guards, the prison guards and the warden knew. Of course they knew. What an absolute travesty. What kind of country is it? It's not any kind of country anymore. I hope to God Tommy sues the pants off the government for his wrongful imprisonment, and I hope he sues the pants off HMP only for their absolute disregards for his human rights whilst he was in prison. So that's what I wanted to say. Have a look at the two. Have a look at this website I've been mentioning. It's very interesting reading. And of course, visit the UK government's own website on prison rights, and you will see that Tommy's rights, well, he didn't have any, did he? So it's a very, very sad state of affairs. And also another thing I've been thinking about just before I finish. Now we know how the Supreme Judge at Tommy's appeal was very scathing about the way that Tommy was arrested and treated, the process, the due process. He was very scathing about that because none of it was followed. I wonder how many other people right now are in prison due to judges like the judge at Leeds in Tommy's court case. I wonder how many others are in prison because of people like him. I wonder. Because Tommy really just can't be the only one, can he? Mind-boggling. So, well, that's all I wanted to say. So, bye.